And we are live, folks. Yes, indeed. It is Wednesday. It is the 13th of August. And look at that handsome man on my left. It is Kia Sobani. Diego, we are back in the house. Raul, beautiful, beautiful shirt with the beautiful tan as well. I've come out guns blazing because, hey, it is the first churros of the pre-season. The 25-26 season is about to kick off this weekend. It is, and we are here for all of y'all's with our predictions. So get ready, strap yourselves in, because these will not leave anyone indifferent. Here we are, Kiyan. We are back at it once again. Like I said, at the cusp, at the near beginning of match day one to kick off in LaLiga EA Sports. And dude, we're about to drop our predictions. I think for the 8th time, maybe even the 9th time. We're like 8 seasons in churros. And so that in and of itself, I think, deserves a little round of applause. Thank you all for joining us. And yeah, what do you got to say about that, son?
I mean, when you put it that way, it's really unbelievable to think about 8 seasons. This day and age, how many marriages last like one season, let alone 8 seasons of doing this? And if there's any podcast that has a good reason to break up, it's us. It's like just two completely polar opposite views. A lot of salt, and we're still going strong. And people like the salt, so I guess that's part of it. Is like you guys demanded, and we show up. So we have been active this summer for our patrons over on patreon.com/churrositacticas, and we'll continue to be. But now that the season is starting, we're back to the free and paid schedule. So one free, one paid episode per week. And we got, this is it, man. It's hard to believe, isn't it? Like we snapped our fingers and the season is starting already.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I like that analogy with the marriages, and that is why I've come out with the summary shirt, unbuttoned, trying to keep this relationship, keep it exciting, keep it fresh, keep it.
You don't need to impress me, bro. You don't need to impress me. I love like you just the way you are. Unbuttoned shirt or not.
Well, look, man, I had to match that beautiful tan, and I hope you and your family enjoyed your time off. We certainly did as well. And as you said, rightfully said, we have been, of course, providing content for our patrons, but we're back on the D-Spot as well as Kian's channel, of course. And I feel like this is our year because we're starting fresh. There's no exclusivity interruptions clauses that will mess with the flow of providing you guys with our opinions on Spanish football. It's like I'm gone from Barca, so this is the first full season that I'll be able to devote to our humble podcast. And like I said, I feel like this is the year with the support of all of you watching and listening. Keep spreading the love, because I feel like this is our true breakout season. As I always say, the most underrated and undervalued podcast right here that has been going for 8 seasons straight without fail. And that deserves, I think, a larger audience as well.
Before we jump into predictions, can we do a quick summary of the things in the past few weeks? Like, I haven't watched a lick of Barcelona preseason. I'm sure you did not tune into Real Madrid's game against Tirol yesterday. And maybe like things like Rashford, Inigo Martinez is gone. You got this whole weird Barca via Real in Miami controversy that there's a lot of people with split opinions on that. Actually, I think most people are against it, but I don't know what you think about it. We got some things to catch up on, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you let me know where you want to start, man. I mean, it is a little bit, I would say the hot potato right now is probably this game against Villarreal that will be played in Miami. This was a proposal that we discussed or had to entertain a couple of seasons ago, Kiyan. I want to say it was pre-COVID or no, was it post COVID? Jesus Christ. There was at some point, I think it was a Barça Girona that was going to
Barca
be played.
Girona. It was not
Yeah,
long ago. I think it was after COVID.
after COVID. Okay. That obviously didn't come to fruition, but it looks like this one will. Um, with the okay for President Roig, the president of Villarreal, he's given the green light. Barca have as well, of course. Now, the I guess elephant in the room is the fact that this game is supposed to be disputed in La Ceramica over in Villarreal. So it's an away game for Barca at a tough stadium. I say tough. I mean, Villarreal is a good team. They have strengthened themselves, even though that last season it was not so much of a contest for us. But usually on the calendar, it's one of those that is marked red, seeing as Villarreal is one of the top contenders for the Champions League spots. Um, the argument from Tebas and company is to promote La Liga. We've seen this initiative take place with the Super Cup as well, the Spanish Super Cup. Obviously, as you pointed out, Kian, the money, money, money. It is all about the money, isn't it? And I don't really see how this benefits anybody other than maybe Tebas's pockets. I mean, how
I
does it?
think it benefits Barca.
And well, I will agree with that. I think the fact that look, I say I agree with that. Villarreal away is always a tough game, but the fact that both teams have to travel to foreign lands, distant lands, play in a venue that nobody is really used to, with the time zone difference, the jet lags, the uncomfortable nature of these long distance travels being kind of shoehorned into the midst of a La Liga season. I don't know if you could really call it a benefit for Barca. The fact that that Villarreal are not playing at home ground is clearly not a benefit for them. And here we are again, man, at these kind of like creative, innovative ways from La Liga to try to promote the Spanish league within the US. I don't like it. I don't see the purpose of it in the greater scheme neither. I don't see the benefit really in the grand scheme of it for anybody.
I think
Well,
what would you
other than the fans in Miami, actually, they get to see, of course, yeah, that they're the big
right?
benefit. Yeah,
And most of those guys will obviously be Barca fans because I don't imagine there's many Villarreal fans in Miami. I'm sure they exist, and apologies for offending you guys, but it's certainly not going to be a big scale of people. I do like the fact that they can offer the Villarreal fans travel and accommodation and tickets is to me like how much money are they making to be able to offer that? That's crazy. I mean,
right.
like to be able to offer that and still make a profit is, I mean, they must be making a killing doing something like that. I do like, I think the argument, like the people who, I don't even know if there's any people who actually do support that aspect of it, but like, I think it's not just the travel and accommodation being paid for that makes it easy or difficult for these guys. I still think it's difficult for the fans to travel to Miami because you think about like you need to take time off, you need to like
Exactly.
you buy food, it's not cheap in Miami. You are still going to be in the hole financially as opposed to just walking to the stadium. And as you saw, like Real Madrid put out the statement where they are like vehemently against the idea, and they're writing to FIFA and UEFA to stop this from happening. I mean, like as a Real Madrid fan, I personally want Barca to play that game in the Ceramica and not in Miami because I just know that for a direct rival of ours, it is more likely for Barca to drop points at the Ceramica than it is in Miami, where a ton of Barca fans are going to show up to that game, right? And it's
For
not
sure.
going to feel like an away game for them, I think, even if you get a bunch of ERL fans out.
Hmm. Yeah, it'll feel like a friendly where you know that three important points are at stake, but it'll be like one of those weird preseason like atmospheres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now like there is part of me that like as if Real Madrid played in Miami mid-season, as like a, and I have some bias towards this. Like, it's pretty easy for me to get to Miami. It's a nice city to
Mm.
go to. I always like an excuse to go to Miami, but still, even still, it doesn't make sense. Like, I wouldn't want Real Madrid to play that game either. So, I it seems like it's gonna go ahead, but there are forces that may still block it. So I don't really know exactly what's gonna happen, but there's certainly like even any Barca fan I've talked to was against the idea. So it's kind of interesting to see how this will play out. But I do think if it does happen, and I think part of Real Madrid's statement is to block the inevitable that they'll have to go to. Because if it starts with Barca via Real, it's not going to be long before Real Madrid are summoned to go to the US, right? And I think this is their way of saying, like, hey, we're not doing this if the day comes. Like, we're against these guys going to Miami, and we're definitely going to be against us going to Miami. And I think the league as a whole, they have to think about, like, why are we sending? It's not just this. Like, the Saudi Arabia Super Cup thing is also nonsense. We both know that. So like, the league as a whole has to look at it and be like, we're sending our teams. We want our teams to do well in European competitions. We want our teams to compete for Champions League titles, Europa League titles, Europa Conference League titles, etc. Is that helping the cause that we're sending them mid-season to Saudi Arabia and the USA, whereas teams in the Premier League are not doing that and are going to be an advantage against us in Europe, for example? Like, all these things are important to me, but again, like, we're at a stage now where there's so much money involved that that's essentially the barrier, because we can all agree from a sporting perspective it doesn't make much sense. From a marketing perspective, like, okay, I mean, I don't know. To me, like, you always got to cater towards the local fans. Everything from kickoff time to, like, if you're this was a huge thing in the US too. These 3 p.m. kickoff times in the sun, because they wanted to accommodate people in Asia. Like, no, you got to accommodate the people who are going to the games, the players who have to play in the heat. These games should be at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. If you're a fan, you're gonna wake up in Europe. You're gonna wake up in Asia for these things. So I ultimately think it's it's a it might set a bad precedent of like a portal opening up to more and more. Because if it I'm just gonna say it right now, if it does happen, it's gonna be successful. When I hate to admit it, it's gonna be
Mm.
successful because the stadium's gonna be packed and they're gonna make a lot of money in it. They're like, oh, see, that wasn't so bad after all, was it? The same thing happened with the Club World Cup.
Mm.
Now, mind you, the stadiums weren't all packed for that, but they did make a ton of mullah. So,
Mm.
they're gonna
Mm.
repeat it. It's just going to be a gateway drug. It's going to be a portal for more and more stuff in the USA. And even me, who's going to be very biased towards stuff in North America because it's easy for me to go to, I still don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I saw tweets calling this sort of the demise. Now, even going so far to say it is the death of La Liga. I just looked at the date when it'll be played. Looks like it would be the last game before the winter break. So I guess that is kind of, I could imagine the excuse that Tebas, if he comes out and makes a public statement, will kind of hold on to say, look, it is the last game. They can fly back, be with their families for Christmas, and then rest until La Liga resumes once again. But I would agree with you. I do think it does set a poor precedent and opens the gateway to potentially a Clásico to be played there. Not a friendly, but one that actually has points at stake, and which team would actually budge to give up the revenue and, of course, the home stadium advantage. That is the big question. But I think eventually it might lead to that if this pattern would continue, in an upcoming seasons. It also just feels so random. I know that the NBA has played official games away.
Yeah.
I don't know the success of those. I don't know how it has affected players. I would doubt that there has been much of an uproar from within the NBA community with regards to those games, just given the fact that the sheer amount of games that are played throughout a season anyway. I don't know. I'm speaking out of ignorance here, but I could imagine that it wouldn't have such a massive, pushback, let's say. But yeah, this is just, I could see a snowball effect here, and I don't like it. I don't really. I'm not in favor for this. No, and also finally, I do think it hinders more the more humble teams, let's say, than the Madrids and Barças. Like they wouldn't take a home game away from us just because of everything. The home games for any team is not just advantage, but in terms of revenue, income, seats, sales, etc. It's such a huge thing. But when you're talking Barças and Madrid, it's exponential, the scale to which the money that the teams make when with these home games, and I think they have too much power to give the green light to actually have that take place.
The idea of a Clasico happening in the US is just so crazy to me. It doesn't really make any sense at all. Like
Mm.
neither Barca or Real Madrid, I think, would budge on that. My son is pointing a Nerf gun at my head.
I
In
see that.
case you're wondering what that is. Um, maybe a Copa del Rey final,
Well, have you heard of
neutral ground.
the Champions League final being played in Saudi and stuff like that?
It's inevitable, bro.
It's
It's
inevitable.
inevitable. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I'm curious to see how it'll unfold. Couple more questions before we dive into predictions. Inigo Martinez, your best defender.
One of the best, yeah, definitely a leader in the back line. I think that's a huge miss. I'm eager to hear from Inigo himself. There's a lot that has been said with regards to his departure, whether it was fully or not his will, or whether he's one of those players like players before that have left. I'm referring to like Aubameyang or Gundogan, for example, that kind of left to alleviate salary cap. And Laporta came out and said, "Look, we had 5 defenders. One had to sort of leave." Uh, should it have been Inigo? I would like to hear from Hansi Flick and the defender himself, really, to hear their true and honest opinions about this departure, because it's definitely a setback and it doesn't look like we are going to be filling that position. It's hard to fill in the boots with somebody that gelled so well in the dressing room, that became, as I said, one of the symbolic captains and leaders for this very, very young squad. And it's yeah, I don't know. Again, it was a setback for me. It wasn't good news. It wasn't received with fireworks, because maybe it will alleviate the registration of Iñaki Peña and so forth, which the club still has problems with, and that is something that is giving me an ongoing headache as well. It's like, my goodness, how many seasons has it been now that every summer transfer, and winter for that matter, we're still approaching the first match day without our players, the entire squad being fully registered, and then not good, not good.
He spoke very candidly about this. That
Yeah,
I'm 34. You never know what's going to happen in football. Like, God forbid I get an injury. This is my last chance probably to get a big bag. In which case, like, you can't really blame the guy, can you? It just sucks for Barca. But
I don't know if that is the God honest truth, though. There's been a lot of rumors.
well, so tell me what you think is.
No, I don't know. I don't know. The rumors are that he actually is doing the club a favor. That they were like, "Hey, you have an offer for Saudi. It would kind of, we wouldn't see it completely with bad eyes if you were to accept that offer. It could alleviate some of the salary cap and give us more mobility to register other players." But then
Right,
also,
but in the end, so not to defend Barca here, because I don't care about doing that, but I kind of would defend Barca here, because like I actually saw a lot of people who were taking shots at Barca for pushing him out to register players. I'm like, ultimately, like, it's gonna be his decision, not Barca's. He's gonna be being paid handsomely,
yeah,
and also, why would Barca want to lose their best defender? Fine, like, get into a Kubarsi debate if you want, but that's not the point. Like, you're not your defensive line gets worse without him. There's no
yeah,
question.
yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah, I would hope that the ultimate decision was taken between Flick and Inigo himself, and that it wasn't anything having to do with the club finances and the directors getting involved in this decision.
yeah. All right. So Rashford, we spoke about, I think, on the Patreon pod. I don't have anything else to say about him. You guys should just sign up and listen to the Patreon pod. We did one right when like Rashford was signed, basically. I have
Yeah, I
some
don't know if you
questions.
got to see him in action a little bit.
You're asking me to tune into Barcelona friendly games. Where are they playing right now? Australia,
You are.
England, Malaysia?
I know you do. I know
I
this
have
this
no
closet
idea where they're
culé
playing.
mentality. Or you are tuned in every
Yeah,
game that we have played.
caught me, bro. I'm
Exactly.
actually at the games.
You know you're going to be in Miami at the Villarreal Barça game. So
It's a
um, I like what I see,
okay.
and from a player that was deemed lazy and unproductive, not a team player by Manchester United fans. And I'm probably grossly generalizing here, and this is not everyone's opinion, but sort of the gist that I got on social media. I see somebody that is um, engaged and excited to play with this crop of players. I don't know if you caught wind of the interview that he had with Gary Lineker on his podcast, where he sat down with him and spoke about his adaptation so far. And he definitely seems that he's somebody that is there to with a chip on his shoulder to prove a point, and he sees this as a chance to make a big impact, domestically but internationally as well, and kind of reaffirm or restate his place on the map of the game of football after a very decent individual season with Villa, to now do that on a grander scale at Barca. So he gave an assist in the Gamper. He should have gotten a goal as well. He missed an absolute sitter that would have made the blooper reels if it had been a La Liga season. Fortunately, it wasn't in the game against Como, against Cesc Fabregas's humble Italian side. We walked away with a 5-0, and the team looks good, man. I am excited for the start of the season. Can't wait for the game against Mallorca. I think it'll be a good challenge. Mallorca, a team that already last season proved to be a tough nut to crack. So, yeah, let the games begin. Let the games begin, and I'm excited to see and follow the progress and the development of a Rashford.
So you guys won the Gamper.
Yes, 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 yes.
That's good. You guys can add that to your trophy cabinet because you always
100%.
count that when you talk about all the trophies you won.
You know it, baby. Every
Yeah,
single one.
congratulations on that. Um, so I have some questions for you,
Mm.
and I thought before we get into like team predictions, I thought we could like talk about like other predictions first.
Okay.
And I'm surprising with you with these, and that's I think kind of part of the fun of it that you didn't get to prepare, and I didn't really get to prepare either. I really only thought about the questions I was going to ask you and not my answers to those questions. But
Mm.
I thought we could start with the Pichichi for this upcoming season. Who do you think is grabbing that?
Mhm. Pichichi, it wouldn't surprise me if Mbappe takes it. I think that I didn't catch many preseason games. I did notice that from what I did see, the highlights, I should say, that he looks fit and lost a couple of kilos. I don't know. He just looks,
Yeah,
he
he's
looks
lost
ready.
some weight. He looks more
Lost some weight.
agile, a little bit more
Yeah.
explosive. Yeah.
Yeah. So I could see him becoming definitely, well, as he was last season, the focal point for Madrid's offense. So I could see Mbappe catch the Pichichi because it would hugely surprise me if Lewandowski repeats the season that he had last season. Not to say Rafinha and Lamine Yamal, who I think definitely Lamine, I think will get more goals than he did last season. But I think the goals for Barca, who are of course the highest scoring team in Europe last season, we will see those goals be divided up more between the front three, whereas individually, an Mbappe could rack up more goals for Madrid.
I was gonna say Mbappe. But I think it's a bit of an easy prediction to make based on the amount of goals he put up last season and how good he looks right now in terms of his, his physical preparation, I guess, for lack of better words. But I was gonna go with Mbappe as well. This one is
Mm.
a bit more interesting. Who do you think is gonna get the most assists in La Liga?
So that one I think will go to Lamine Yamal. I think
Okay.
that he will get the most assists. Uh, Again, last season, what are the top assist providers? We see how nifty, crafty is with providing passes from one end to the pitch to the other, using the outside of the boot, and the way he wiggles and works his way into the box. A generous player with a great vision. I think it would surprise me if Lamine doesn't become the top assist provider. So that one will fall for Lamine. Yeah.
Okay.
Who
I'm
you
gonna go with Arda Güler.
got? Okay.
See, somebody bookmarked that laugh and Diego's reaction at the end of the season when we come back to it, because I want that reaction
Please,
on
somebody, please
blast.
do.
On
Where's
blast.
his Medi? Where his Medi at?
By the way, I bookmarked my own take when I said I wouldn't trade Goulier for anybody last year, including Lamine Yamal, and I got grilled and dragged on the internet.
I
I
hope you did.
bookmarked that as well because I'm bringing that back up and saying I told you so very soon. Within I have a 2-year window. I'm gonna resurface that.
Okay.
I'm gonna dig it out from underneath the earth, and I'm gonna throw it in
Fantastic.
people's faces as well.
It'll come back to haunt you for decades, my friend.
I don't think so.
Decades.
I don't think so. Um. So all right, you got we both got Mbappe for Pichichi. You have Lamine Yamal for the top assister. I have Arda Güler. What about like breakout player of the season? This the player that no one's really talking about, maybe not expected. I'm assuming you're gonna throw in someone from Barca U12 or something that we don't know about, but
I could. It's just that the way that Atletico have been moving with all of their acquisitions, all of their new arrivals, plenty of which are new to me as well, but sort of known definitely on the European stage. I'm quietly kind of hoping that we will see a breakout player emerge from an opposing team. Obviously, I'm backing my players, and I'm hoping that the likes of who is it, Dro or Rooney Bargi, or all of these new guys that are coming up from the Barca youth ranks will crack that and take those honors. But Rooney Bargi, who by the way is I don't know if you knew of him before. He's Iraq. I think he was born in Kuwait, if I'm not mistaken. He's Swedish by nationality, but somebody that was completely new to me that I definitely had to do some research on and educate myself. That is a very interesting player, hugely suited, I think, for a team like Barca and La Liga as well, that could potentially crack that honors, be the sixth man, or let's say the revelation player of the season. But I don't know. Atletico, like I said, have got a lot of new players. Gaspadori from Napoli, Almada from Botafogo, Baena, who obviously is a very much of an experienced La Liga player, but Hanco, although he's a central defender, Cardoso from Betis, now with Atletico de Madrid. If I'm not mistaken, again, of the 9 players that they have brought in, 5 of those could quite easily be starters. So Diego Simeone is dealing with a team that is, I think, on paper more offensive. We might be surprised to see a player emerge from Atletico de Madrid, be the revelation player, and I'm sure I'm not doing justice to the acquisitions or the youth players that are being promoted from the other teams to the rest of La Liga teams. But look, pen come to paper, push come to shove. I guess I'll stick with my homegrown players, and I'll say Rooney Bargi.
yeah, I think Atletico. I feel like we have that conversation with them every summer. It's like,
Every
oh, we're
season,
gonna,
yeah.
yeah, it's
But
like we're
has it
getting.
ever been this drastic, Keon?
I feel like it's pretty normal for Atletico. I mean, I have to go back. I mean, and look at it, but they're generally very busy in the transfer market. They always have like one relatively big name. This year it's Baena, but like they just also have like 10 to 12 like under the radar signings. Last year, like if you go look at their 2024 summer, it was also crazy. Like there was
Mm.
just so many movements, so many things happening. And then we always I mean, last year they also brought in Alvarez and Connor Gallagher, Lenormand,
Yes.
Sorloth came in, Longley came in. Like it was just also a lot. Joao Felix went out. There was a lot of changes there too. And then we always see them like for the first few games, like, oh, this is a new offensive. Diego Simeone is finally going to play offensive football, and then they just ended up. It's just Atletico is the same every year to me. But I am gonna go with a biased but correct pick. I think it's going to be Gonzalo Garcia, who's going
Could be.
to be the
He's definitely
breakout
been
star.
the name of the preseason for or in the Club World Cup. I figured you were gonna mention Gonzalo. That's why I left that one for you.
Thank you.
Uh, could be, could be. I mean, what do you know of him from last season from playing with Castilla with Arbeloa? Is he a player that will he get the number 9? What's the deal with him and Endrick? I guess those are my main questions.
Hendrick's getting the 9.
Who is he?
Yeah,
Okay,
but
it's
I think
confirmed.
yeah. So I
Oh,
don't I don't know if it's official yet. I honestly can't remember what's official and what's not, but it may very well be official. I can't remember. Um, I'm trying to figure out where to bring you up to speed from with regards to Gonzalo Garcia because I don't remember how much have we talked about him at all this summer. I honestly don't know. But
you mean
last
on churros or
yeah,
just in
on
general?
churros. I mean,
Oh,
on
okay, yeah,
churros.
no,
Yeah,
not too much, no.
I think the so what happened last season was that Carlo called him up sporadically because he had the most goals of any Castilla player in a single season ever. Um, funny enough, equaled Mariano. It's a tie between him and Mariano Diaz. So hopefully Mariano was not the example we want to follow here, but he had a very very good season with Castilla, and then anytime Ancelotti called him up, he looked fantastic. I mean, these are very limited minutes, mind you, and they're not huge games. Although he had a very big moment in a Copa del Rey game, and he's really promising. And then I think the more surprising thing is even the people who really believed in him, including me, were surprised that he started the first game of the Club World Cup because Xabi Alonso loves him. He starts, he becomes a top scorer of the entire tournament. And beyond scoring, he's a very intelligent player. He can link up, he can hold up, he's a target, he's very skillful with his dribbling. He can do a lot. And he can play outside the box and inside the box. And so he's a profile that we really didn't have, ever since Joselu left. So obviously he's young, he's from Castilla, so there's also incentive and hope that, that we want him to succeed and we're very high on him. I think he's gonna be awesome. I love what I saw and I remember just mentioning in the Club World Cup that he reminds me of Raul. And I remember I tweeted it that he reminded me of Raul, especially after one of the chip goals he scored in the tournament.
I
And I
saw that.
remember asking Xabi Alonso a question about Gonzalo Garcia after that game, and unprompted, he went out of his way to say that, yeah, he reminds me of Raul. And I think we're all really high on him, and I think Xabi Alonso is too. So I think for that reason, he's going to play quite a bit and has potential to be a breakout star. So that was my reasoning behind picking him.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. We'll see. Yeah, he's definitely going to be a guy that will be on our radars. I failed to mention actually Marc Bernal, who of course was injured at the
sure.
beginning of the season and was the starting midfielder ahead of Marc Casado, who became a bit of the revelation player himself. But he is back and healthy now, just 18 years of age, and looks to have been reincorporated in the squad fully. So he could be another kind of holding type midfielder that we want to keep on our radar here. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, do you want to move into more team
Team
oriented?
predictions.
Yeah,
Let's go. So I actually took this exercise, this bit of homework, and went through the whole standings, the whole clasificación. I kind of
love it.
predicted those teams that will descend, that will be relegated, those that will hover around the relegation zone, the mid table, the upper table, Europe, and of course, eventually the champions. So, without any further ado, Kian, why don't we start with the lower end of the league standings? The newly promoted teams this season are Elche, Levante, and Oviedo. I wouldn't be surprised to see at least two of those three teams be relegated. Unfortunately, for the newly La Liga teams of the first division, they have a tough time staying within the Spanish top flight. So I have got Elche and Levante to go back down again. I've got Oviedo surviving, even if it is barely. And I kind of compared this to the standings of last season. So the way the 24-25 season ended. And I think a team like Alaves, who finished last season in a very poor state, they only scraped. They managed to survive with the how do you say, with the edge of the by the edge of their teeth, or what does that say? the, the scrape in their
I'm
tooth.
not entirely sure of the analogy you're trying.
they,
I
they,
don't know.
they
I
managed to
don't
survive
know the analogy. Yeah, but
with the tip of the toe. I don't know, but only just managed to survive. Elche, Levante, and Alaves are going down, despite the fact that I could see an Espanyol, I could see a Getafe in that relegation zone as well. I don't expect big things from our city rivals, especially given the fact that we have probably snatched away their best player, who was Joan Garcia, the goalkeeper, of course. I think they're going to have a tough time. I could see Girona having a tough time as well. I think their fairy tale, for competing with the European spots has been hurting them. I don't see them as strong. So, well, let me start with the relegation. For me, Elche, Levante, and Alaves are going down, Kian.
I'll sign off on that. Like I'll sign off on Elche and Levante plus one of Espanyol or Alaves. Like I actually had Espanyol going down personally, but these things are kind of like they're hard to predict in that you like. I personally, I didn't watch any Segunda last season, so I have no idea. Like I really have no context other than that these guys are coming up, and then we saw how bad Espanyol were last season. We saw how bad even teams like Sevilla were. I don't think Sevilla is going to get relegated. Maybe Girona will bounce back this season. I don't know. I think they have enough competency there. And some players coming in that I think they'll be competitive and they're well coached as well. So but I'll sign off on Elche, Levante, and Espanyol. Those are my three, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think the lower table teams, and again, I'll put Oviedo, Girona. I agree with you with Sevilla, and I think even a Rayo Vallecano, who, of course, qualified for the Conference League, that could potentially hurt them in La Liga. The fact that they'll have to play three competitions, one of them being European. A team like Rayo, again, more of a humble side, getting used to playing more matches, more minutes. Will that take away focus for their survival in La Liga? Here, I always refer back to my famous interview back in the day with a Machin, who then was coaching Girona, who off the record admitted, he said, look, I'm not a Girona that had qualified for Europe. He was like, I am not concerned about how we do in the European League. My main concern is to make sure that we stay within the Spanish first division. So I could see that playbook, play out for a team like Rayo. Or not, will it take away from them? So I think a Rayo could be hindered by the fact that they play multiple competitions. I'm curious to see how Valencia will come out of the gates. I've put them in the mid-table tier. Valencia, Osasuna, I think Celta are looking a little better. They've got Borja Iglesias there. I think they have got a good team. They are always tough to beat, whether they play at home or away as well. I think Betis will be the top contender for that mid-table tier and potentially a spot in the Conference League. But once you're looking at that mid-table or the upper mid-table tier of the league standings, that's where you'll see the Betis compete with the usual suspects. Real Sociedad, who I think will miss out on the Europa League. I think that will go to Athletic Club. I'm just going to finish it off here, Kian, and then pass it over to you. Athletic Club, who play the Champions League this season. Nico so far has been in the spotlight, but has been a no-show when it comes to Athletic. Their preseason has been underwhelming, to say the least. And I wonder how that will translate in the beginning of the season for them domestically, but also in Europe, whether the European stage, the top European stage, the Champions League will be a bit too much for Athletic Club to kind of keep up with La Liga bigs when it comes to re-qualifying for the top European spots. I think they will fall in the Europa League once again. And then to finish off the top four, I think it'll be Villarreal, no surprise, Atletico de Madrid, Real Madrid, and Barca will be champion. We'll get into the reasons as to why, but I first want to hear from you, Kiyan.
Okay, well, you kind of jumped the gun and just did the whole damn
So
La Liga
yes,
table all in
here
one
we go.
go. So you had Barca first, Real Madrid second, Atletico third, right?
Yeah.
And what was your top five?
Villarreal fourth, Athletic Club fifth.
Okay. I don't have. I mean, I think far more interesting to me really is like I don't really know if I want to get into the exercise of like who is in the conference league zone and like who's sixth and who's seventh. I mean, I feel like these are kind of the usual suspects. Like Real Sociedad will start off well, they'll tail off because they don't have depth.
And they don't
They'll
have Alguacil. It's the first season without Alguacil, of
first
course.
season without Alguacil.
Yeah.
But they have the pedigree and the history and the tradition and the fans and the stadium, and
Cubo.
they'll probably be like seventh or something, seventh, eighth. Celta will be a team like between the relegation zone, but not good enough for Europe. Rayo probably in that category as well. And you mentioned that they're in the Conference League, and that typically means that they're going to be stretched too thin trying to survive. Betis will be good. Athletic will always be like top five probably. I think more interesting to me is that like where Real Madrid and Barcelona are going to be at the end of the year. And you have Barcelona first, which means you don't. Well, I don't know because there's a lot of details that come with that. Like, do you think Barcelona are going to be better, worse, or the same as last year?
I think we're going to improve. Look, I
Okay.
think last season was a surprise for everyone. Barca fans, football fans, probably even the team themselves included. The fact that they came out of the gate swinging had a huge impact initially, suffered that dip November, December, where they lost the top spot, but then managed to regain it. And again, in my humble opinion, played the best football in Europe, along with a QSG probably, but certainly the most entertaining, statistically the most offensive, hugely dangerous up front. It seemed that they figured out how to also accommodate the defense, and that took a little bit of a hit, as I said, sort of halfway through the season, but then managed to figure that out. I don't see why this team, despite the loss of an Inigo Martinez, would have to play worse football for it. I think the ambition of this team is to repeat success and build on that. We were minutes away from qualifying for the Champions League final and managed to win everything domestically.
It's a great trophy.
Sure. The fact that we have a year now under Hansi Flick will have allowed also our competitors to figure out the Hansi Flick ball system, and they will try to the best of their ability to combat that. The scouting has been done. I don't think that there'll be many surprises. I don't expect Barca under Hansi Flick to come out and play very different. I think it'll be football total, in its extreme sense, and we will continue to see Barca apply the high line and concede goals, but outscore their competitors. I don't see how Real Madrid or an Atletico de Madrid, with all respects to Simeone's side, with all of the new additions that he will have to juggle and figure out how to, build around, as well as a Xabi Alonso, who is blessed for inheriting a great squad, but I don't see how they will mix and gel as well to outshine a team that has beaten them on all of the, what has it been, 4 or 5 occasions that we faced Real Madrid last season. I think it's Flick's for the, Barca's for the taking. And I think we will. I think we will. I think we'll repeat La Liga success.
I think the case against Barca is less to do with them and more to do with the version of Real Madrid they would get this season, potentially. Real Madrid dropped 30 points last season. I mean, that's just, they were just rolling up to every game horrible. They have, they went from one wing back to four wing backs. They will be, I think their floor is higher. I think they're going to be better game to game. I don't have any evidence or proof to know how they're going to do against elite opposition like Barca or PSG or whoever. But I think they'll be better in the games that they're supposed to win, which they
Mhm.
weren't last year. They were not good in those games against small opponents either. And I think that'll change. So I think there is going to be more competition for Barcelona in that sense. Now I don't like, if even the thing is, like, even if that's all that happens, if Barca continue to be great but Real Madrid improve, they somehow Real Madrid were only 4 points back of Barca last season, as horrible as they were. And I think that's the case. I think that's the case. If Real Madrid are just come back like 5% better, what I think it's going to be about 25 to 30% better. But even if they come back slightly better, they can win the league. So that's my main case. Like, let's, Barca themselves, there's a sophomore slump potential. You mentioned that opponents can now scout them. Inigo Martinez is gone. Da 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 da. Hansi Flick tends to, I mean, his Bayern career started better than it ended. You look at maybe history, but in the end, I think it comes down to they'll get a better version of Real Madrid. Is that going to be enough to tip the scales? Is Real Madrid going to be coming back much better? I don't know. I think
Let
they
me
will
ask you
be, but I
this:
do. Hmm.
How do you envision the better version? Because Modric is out. Fede, I don't think he's. I read that he's not going to make the beginning of the season. Like he won't be ready. He's banged
He
up.
was actually asked about it like today or yesterday, and he said he's fine. So I think he'll be
Okay,
ready.
but so your midfield is Chouameni, Ceballos, and who? I saw like a Thiago something, a name I didn't
I mean,
recognize.
Thiago Pitarch is a promising young midfielder that Xabi Alonso is probably going to promote, but it's Arda Güler.
But the point is, like, Bellingham is out.
Bellingham's out the first couple months.
Rodrigo goes, as in, is he out?
Very clever. Looks that way. I mean, did you see the starting lineup yesterday? Probably not.
I looked at it on paper.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the start. I mean, I don't know. Brahim is the one question mark I'd have. I don't know if he's going to continue to start. We could put Gonzalo Garcia there instead, or Franco
Güler.
Mastantuono is going to be presented tomorrow. I don't think he's going to start the first game against Osasuna, obviously, because that's way too soon. But I think you will see more of him. The main thing is, Diego. Like, last season, you have to really remember that our we had Lucas Vasquez as our right back. We had uh I mean, Militao was out, Alaba was out. We had no Fran Garcia was playing
That's
left
true.
back.
Yeah. You
We
got
went
Hausen, Carreras, Militao that
Hausen
you
is
said back,
incredible. Hausen is
Trent,
incredible.
and
Trent and
Ceballos will
Carvajal.
be, yeah.
Yeah.
Carvajal, I meant, of course. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Alvaro Carreras, who was our new left back, he started yesterday. He looks very good.
Hmm.
Um, and like again, you're gonna hate me all season for this because I'm gonna bring it up a lot. But Goulier looks amazing right now with Xabi Alonso. So I think this is it. We just, like, based on the sheer fact that we now have fullbacks and now we have House and Militao is back. Like, we just have bodies now that we didn't have last season. I think that's
Hmm.
huge.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I'll go back to this. I think the way Xabi Alonso plays, it's gonna raise our floor against these small teams and like ensure we win. There's gonna be more consistency, is my prediction. And so the real test is like I want to see us perform against the big teams because we haven't seen that in a long time. But I think like the floor of the team is going to be raised a lot this season.
I guess my question as well, besides that, and I appreciate you pointing those things out, but how will this team play under Xabi Alonso? What we saw last year under Hansi Flick was, I don't want to say unprecedented, because Lucho, for example, won the treble in his first season, and Pep Guardiola did pretty damn good as well. But will Xabi Alonso have that kind of an impact with this team from the get-go to be to come the end of the season and be a competitor to win the league title? Like, are his methods not only that good, which I'm he proved at Leverkusen that he's a very, he's a fine coach, but will that message resonate with a team that does have its internal issues? When you look at Vini, who has underperformed and is a big concern for all Madridistas in terms of his performance, will he come back to being that, Balón de Oro contender? How will his relationship on or potentially also off the pitch gel with an Mbappe and a Bellingham, who are the star boys of the team as well? I mentioned Bellingham earlier as well, the fact that he'll be out for an extended period of time. How will Xavi deal with that, and how will the team respond? I just don't see them getting that sorted and together on time to be, again, to come the end of the season, to walk away with a league trophy. I think Barca are better equipped and prepared to repeat success, as opposed to Madrid snatching the league trophy away from us.
I think there's no question that Barcelona are the more established and sure thing right now. There's no
Mm,
question about that. I mean, they just
right.
had an incredible season. We know what we're going to get from them. Again, my point goes back to like that version of Real Madrid was terrible last season. And I don't like it's not like it's not it sounds like I'm making excuses like, oh, this is why Barca won the league. I'm not even saying that. I'm just focusing purely on Real Madrid. They were ass last season. Somehow they ended up 4 points
That's
back
fair.
at the
That's
league.
fair.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they were 4 points back of the league despite all that. I think if you look at all of our problems last year, because I mentioned the fullbacks are a part of it. It's not all of it. Like the fullbacks, now we have fullbacks, which we didn't have last season. I think last season also there were a lot of defensive question marks with regards to how our midfield functioned with and the balance of our attack. The insistence of Ancelotti in playing Rodrigo, Vini, and Mbappe all together, which made it very top heavy. The fact that he insisted on Lucas Vasquez when we had promising right backs in the academy, or we could have put Fede Valverde there into certain games. We also had a lot of injuries to midfielders like Ceballos and Camavinga, which, by the way, unfortunately, I think we're going to continue to have that problem upcoming season. Camavinga's already injured again. Um, we we had the situation where we lacked clear ideas in ball progression and escaping pressure, and we had Arda Güler right there and didn't use him. And he's playing lights out right now. I also think while it's fair to say that Xabi Alonso, you know, what do you expect from him right off the
Mm,
bat? We have seen 6 games of him in an official game, in an
hmm.
official match, to see some of the ideas he's put together. And I think overall it's been more encouraging than it's been discouraging. So I think we've seen signs of it. I think it's fair to point out the Vinicius situation. We're all worried about it. Yesterday, he didn't look great again. He worked really hard defensively. I can give him that, which was at least an important thing for me to see. He he is in some ways a wild card, but I think Xabi Alonso was going to fix a lot of our tactical issues, in that we never knew how to press under Ancelotti. We do now. We've been pretty suffocating the way we've been playing. Mind you, again, I'm going to continue to emphasize this. We need to beat the elite teams. It's not enough to just do this against the little teams. But I think our floor gets raised in these situations. Our set pieces are going to be much better. I hate to pile up on him, but Lucas Vasquez was taking free kicks last season, as on top of being a liability at right back. We have Trent and Arda stepping over the set pieces now. Arda hit the crossbar twice yesterday from distance. One of them was a set piece. We have a goal scorer who's in terrific form. We have players like Masantuono coming in. We have a young player like Gonzalo Garcia coming up the ranks. We have these promising, encouraging things. And I think to bring it back to your point is like, is Xabi Alonso going to have enough time to implement this? And is everyone going to buy into it? Our first big game is like what? In September against Atletico, I think. So we have like about a month of, games against like the Osasunas and whoever to just win those games and
Osasuna, the wrong team to mention, in my opinion. They're
at
banana peel
home.
consistently.
A little bit more
Ah,
difficult
at
than that.
Bernabeu. Okay, yeah.
But we got Osasuna, Oviedo, Mallorca at home.
I see.
And Anoeta, Espanyol at home, Levante away. And then our first test is September 28th against
Right.
Atletico away.
I got you. Yeah.
So we have a solid month and change to
Mm,
just
mm, mm.
win the games we're supposed to win and get into rhythm and make sure we have it all figured out at that point. I don't know if we talked about this, but a few weeks ago, I saw that you were on Instagram Live, and then I clicked on it. And just as I clicked on it, you were talking about me. You were talking about, oh, Kiyan is hyping up Jude Bellingham again and all this stuff. This is going to be a big thing. Bellingham without the shoulder brace. Telling you right now. In a new system. Last year, his whole role was just like, I have to do everything. I have to be the one defending. I have to be the one attacking and creating and crashing the box and doing all this. I think he'll be more refined. In the Club World Cup, he was talking about how difficult it is to play with the shoulder brace. Opponents are like tugging on it. It's sweaty. He has to keep going like this. His mobility is affected. For him to come back with essentially a new shoulder and to not have to play through pain, I think we're going to see a better version of him as well. I think all of these things I'm bringing up here on this long, long rant, you piece it together. Real Madrid were 4 points off of Barca last season. I think it's going to be a much different situation this year. Much different.
I'll be curious to see. I'll be curious to see if how his absence will affect the team, how he will come back as well, which is, I think, scheduled for October-ish. If you look at
Yeah.
October, that usually the Clásico will take place, and it does once again the 26th of October at the Bernabeu. So whether it's against Villarreal or Valencia or Barça, actually Valencia is in November. So that's a big month of November for Madrid and for Bellingham to come back without the brace. I think, I welcome him back with open arms to be the second best midfielder in the world. But I have faith in Pedri to continue to be the star out, the far out star boy in that position. And I think there's a lot of questions surrounding Real Madrid at the moment.
Yeah, there's more questions than answers.
And of course, they can surprise us. It's Real Madrid. They have a fantastic squad, great players, a lot of depth, and a great new coach that is leading this team. I just see Barca more prepared, as you said, which is not a hot take or anything, to repeat success on the domestic scene, and where probably a lot of players will as well be focused on the international scene. Of course, the Champions League that they missed out on playing the final of. So maybe that will be a distraction that will allow Real Madrid to kind of take pole position for LaLiga if they become complacent or if their concentration slips and the domestic games in LaLiga and take the cake, take the crown. But I don't see it happening. I think also for the Copa del Rey, I would love to see another Barça Madrid final. And the Super Copa as well. So, let the games begin, I would say. It's we're 24 hours away from kickoff. Not exactly. We're the Wednesday now. So the first games will kick off over the weekend. Barca playing on Saturday away at San Moix against Mallorca. I don't think that's an
easy W.
I don't think that's an easy W. Mallorca, again, a team that did very, very good last season. So it'll be a good test, good opener. What We are back for our patrons on Friday, right, Kian?
We are. We also have a couple super chats.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Um, I forgot to ask you this one. Oh, by the way, my prediction for the league is Real Madrid will win the league this year. But we forgot to predict Ballon d'Or.
Dembele.
Okay. What about the podium? Do you want to give us a podium? Top three?
Dembo's Rafinha Lamine.
Okay. Wow. You think Rafinha has the PR to be ahead of Lamine Yamal? I don't think he does.
I don't know the order, but I think that will be the podium. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't necessarily disagree with that, to be honest. Um, super chats. And yes, you're right. On Friday, we are going to be here for our members. We're going to answer questions from members and talk about some other stuff and tee up the opening weekend of La Liga. Patreon.com/churros y tácticas. Pranav Jadhav has a new child. So we want to
Hey,
congratulations to him. He says, want to update on the arrival of the newest Madridista and future Churros member, Malhar Jadhav. 3 months now. He came home in a Modric onesie from Moji Mates. Congrats, buddy. That's awesome.
congrats, Pranav.
Beautiful.
Let your boy choose. I'm sure he'll choose. He'll he'll choose the right side when once he's able to do so.
By the way, my son's been asking a lot about who's better, Ronaldo versus Messi, and he's like, "Any me a Ronaldo jersey," and all this, and the other. So this shirt that I'm wearing, the Raul Shush in the Camp Nou, he was asking me about it, so I showed him the highlights of that game, and I had forgotten what a crazy game that was. It's just like, I don't know if you remember it because Figo scored.
For
It was
Barca.
Figo scored for Barca. It was insanely tense. There was a lot of really wild challenges and screaming and fighting uh and obviously the Raul scored the double. He scored a header in the first half and then he
Is
scored at
that
the
the
end.
Hierro against Luis Enrique clash where they're like butting heads and getting pretty physical?
I don't think that was the same one. It was that was the same era, but I think Redondo got into it with somebody, maybe
Mm-hmm.
Rivaldo,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I can't remember.
Okay.
So in the highlights, there's a bunch of crazy things that happen. Like one of the Barca players, he punches the ball off the line and there was no call. And there was another wild challenge on Salgado where I forget who it was that comes in with the cleats in the back of Salgado's calves, and there was no call, and all the Real players were surrounding the referee. And my son goes, "I don't like that blue and red team. They're evil. How come they're allowed to do that?" I was like, "Son, you see exactly
Just
what I'm
wait till
talking
you
about."
watch Madrid
So
games and
I
you'll
I
see the
said
advantages
I
that we
said, "Yep,
really
that's a
have.
great observation. That's why we don't support that team."
That
Great
is why.
observation. I was
Don't
like, "Your
worry, son.
IQ is unmatched."
Don't worry, son.
You saw the
This was just a blip. We got control over this. Don't you worry. Okay. Good.
yeah. I'm gonna shelter him from your YouTube channel. I'm sure you can go and put together a compilation of something. Pranav also says, "I'm gonna go easy on Diego today. No one's talking about Rooney B. I think he will
I just
save
mentioned him.
Yamal's career from injuries. Similar player who will allow
Yeah.
Yamal rest." Who's Rooney B? Is that Marcus?
No, so that's Rooney Bargi, the
Oh, that's the guy you were
Iraqi
talking about.
Swedish
Oh,
player. Yes, 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 yeah. So he, for some reason, transfer market have got him on Barça Athletic, but he was signed with the intention of having him play with the first team. He's been training on a Hansi Flick this entire preseason and played all the games as well. I don't doubt that Giuliano Belletti might use him. He's only 18, so he might use him for a game or two or several games. I don't know how they plan to make use of him, but I do expect rather to see him quite a lot with the first team. health permitting and his talent permitting, which has been very promising so far. And as Pranav mentioned, we'll definitely give a much needed rest to Lamine Yamal, and has showed great signs. You know, you look at the highlights of the games, but also the practices so far. He's very active, not a shy player, so talented, that player that was wanted by the big European teams before his grave injury that kept him out for the entirety of last season and last summer transfer market, that then, you know, put a hold of his move from the Swedish side. uh, you know, Barca were there this time around, first ones in line, and I'm excited to see this player, man. He's a player with a character. He's got a lot of personality, so, and talent. So, yeah, I'm excited to see him.
Awesome, man. Happy for you to have another great young player on your hands. That's awesome.
We'll see.
Well, we're gonna wrap it up here, guys. We're just over an hour here, and it was a lot of fun. We're really happy to be back. Diego and I will be back, as we said, on Friday over on patreon.com/churrositacticas. One of the themes with our patron only pods is that you guys submit questions, and there is not a single question that we don't answer. We go through every single one, no matter how much controversy might arise from it, no matter how much it gets us to fight, and we answer all of it, and it's highly entertaining for both us and you guys. So head on over to patreon.com/churrositacticas. Another season coming up with Diego
Yes,
and
sir.
I. We are happy to be back. Thanks, Diego. Great chatting,
Thanks,
my
bud.
man.
Thank you,
Peace out.
guys. Cheers.